Oh, hi. I think it's on. Hello again, Internet. I think you're here, from what I can tell. Okay. Well, if you are here, it's good to see you. Not sure if you are. Oh, I think it's on. Let's see. Yeah, it seems to be working. Hope you can all see and hear everything clearly. Once again. Anyway, going to be making this probably another quick, relatively quick video. Um, Potential and kinetic are two very different things. Potential and kinetic energy, right? Potential and kinetic activity, which you could say is an outcropping of energy. These are very different things and very important when it comes to marketing or when it comes to other activities and efforts, right? Yeah, I know some people will say, oh, kinetic warfare versus theoretical, psychological, or whatever warfare. Well, I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about potential and kinetic. You can say energy or movement or whatever. In marketing, there's no shortage in the world of big ideas, as I've spoken about recently. What matters is shifting from an idea, which is a potential use of energy, to actually getting it done, which is a kinetic use of energy, right? So you have to transform the potential energy into the kinetic energy in order to make that potential movement transform into a kinetic movement so that you actually get things done. Otherwise, you've just got a bunch of ideas that nobody will ever know about, let alone will it have any value to the outside world. Right? So, how do you do that? Again, it all comes down to planning and execution. Right? Now, are there times when you might do something impromptu and go from a quick idea into a quick action and turn a kinetic and create a kinetic action very quickly or almost immediately after having a potential thought about it? Yes, obviously. You might make split second decisions. That's what that is. Anytime you have a impulse decision, if you're standing at the store at the cashier and you put all your groceries in bags over the past however many minutes or hours you've been in that store, or all the things you meant to buy in that store, and then you see at the cashier, at the teller, that there's a simple little item, an accessory or a candy or a gadget, whatever it is, some knickknack that you just want, and you see it's relatively cheap, you make the quick impulse decision to grab it, put it in your basket, and add that to your shopping cart, right? And pay for that. And that is an example of a quick transformation of a potential movement to a kinetic, right? And it can be done in literally a split second. Happens all the time. The same thing is true for um, other actions you might do in life, whether they're shopping related or other decision related, right? You might be driving down the road and maybe you need to turn left, but you see that there's a fork that goes right. And maybe all of a sudden you get hit with a random, I want to do something different bug. So instead of going left, you go right. And maybe the adventure begins there. Who knows what happens? Right? there's no shortage of real world circumstances where potential and kinetic can make a big difference, right? And moving from potential to kinetic makes a big difference, right? And if you know the old story about the light bulb and how it was created, right? There were lots of ways that were experimented on. In the end, one of them worked, and that was the first light bulb. And before it worked, a reporter had asked Mr. Edison, "Hey, Mr. Edison, why haven't you given up on the light bulb? I see you have thousands of failed experiments. Why don't you just give up?" And Edison looked at the reporter and allegedly, according to the story, said, "No, young man, I don't have thousands of failed attempts. I've discovered thousands of ways you can't make a light bulb." Right? So he didn't view those quote unquote failed attempts as failures. He viewed them as successes in how not to make a light bulb. And why does that matter? Well, it matters because it enabled him to carry on without getting fatigued or demoralized by the difficulties and the obstacles he had to overcome to figure out exactly what to do to make a light bulb. And that is important because had he not had that indefatigable spirit, and had he given up, because after dozens or hundreds, or maybe the first 1,000 of experiments, he would have been like, "Well, I've done 1,000 experiments. I can't figure it out. It must not work." Right? Then who knows how much longer it would have taken for somebody to figure out how to make a light bulb. And when you think about how radically the world has been changed just by the very act of Mr. Edison successfully creating that light bulb, just consider how powerful that drive was to not give up on transforming the potential energy into kinetic energy in that example. Going to work, if you find the way to make the innovative product or figure out the successful campaign to get the word out, don't give up. Inspiration may be hard to come by sometimes, but don't give up on if you have positive dreams of doing good things, right? Keep at it, and eventually, if you're right, it'll happen. You'll find the way. And of course, you may spend your whole life and never discover the way, right? But as long as you keep at it, you're determining more and more ways that something can't be done, or how not to do something, or how to build something that doesn't do what you do, but does something else, which may be the opposite of your intention, but it's still doing something. From a marketing point of view, that's very powerful information. From a business point of view, that's very powerful information. From a personal point of view, that's very powerful information. The trick is to make sure you're doing something for good. Because then, as long as you're focused on making good, well, the outcome is most likely going to be good. And that matters a lot. And I know that may sound very vague and nebulous and la, but I truly believe that if you focus on doing the good thing, it will benefit you and those around you far more than if you focus on doing something for the bad, right? If you aim for positive impact, you're far more likely to reach it. If you aim, than if you don't have an aim at all, and it's far more likely to be good for humanity than if you aim for negative impact. And it may very often be easier to aim for negative impact. However, easy is not what it's all about. Doing something for the good of humanity is much more important than just doing something because it's easy. So, that is my friendly message for the day for now. I hope you all got something out of it. And if you did, you know what to do. And I'll see you in the next one. Happy times.